Thank you. I'm just going to read two short stories. Can you hear me? Yeah? No. Too tall. I think so. Is that better? Is that better? Yeah? Okay. This first story is going to be in this month's edition of Litro magazine, which comes out on the 14th of February. It's a response to the subject of anti-love, so kind of not quite in the theme of Valentine's Day, more the opposite of it. It's called Ruth and Mikey. Mikey and Ruth live in a semi-detached house with 3 bedrooms. Ruth and Mikey do not need anybody else, for they are so in love. Nothing else matters except being together. But they live in this world, our world, and therefore this can never be allowed. They must go about their daily business. They must go to work and come home from their jobs every evening. This only makes their love stronger. As each day passes, they long to be back in each other's arms. People do not understand how they can be so happy, how everything isn't a compromise. After work on the first Monday of the month, on her way home in the Volkswagen Golf she and Mikey chose together one Saturday afternoon at a used car showroom, Ruth stops at IKEA. She buys cheap plates and bowls. At home that night, she and Mikey throw bland Swedish crockery across their living room, letting plates and bowls crack against the walls. In this way, they create a semblance of normality for the neighbours. In work on Tuesday, Mikey grumbles about how the washing machine broke at the weekend and how he and Ruth had to wash their underwear in the kitchen sink. He relates how tedious this task was to Jeff from HR, but in his head recalls the fun he and Ruth had throwing their soapy underwear at each other. On Wednesday, Mikey and Ruth try not to offend their old university friends when they're invited round for dinner. They do not need the comfort of these old friends or to recollect undergraduate japes and drinking games, but they recall and reminisce with the others for their sakes. On Thursday, Ruth attempts to cover up a bruise on her face that she gained whilst engaged in acrobatic sex the night before. She overstates to her Pilates instructor, Michelle, that the bruise is nothing and merely the result of her inherent clumsiness. This leaves Michelle with the accurate impression that the bruising has been inflicted by Mikey, but in a scenario entirely different to one of enthusiastic sexual antics. Mikey finishes work a little earlier than Ruth on Fridays, so he plays football with the lads from the office. He never stays out for a drink with them afterwards because he has to get home to the missus. The lads make a joke of this every week, and Mikey looks to the ground and projects an image of a hen-pecked husband before he waves them off and stops on the way home, purchasing something meaningful as a gift for Ruth. Saturday evenings are spent watching television or a film on DVD. Ruth and Mikey look forward to Saturdays. Their actions during the week make people invite each of them out individually. Their behaviour only encourages friendship and supportiveness. A walk in the local park may take place on Sundays, or they may stay in bed all day. When the neighbours see neither of them leave the house all day, they discuss how dreadful it must be for them, stuck in together. People who see them feeding stale bread to the ducks in the park think what a lovely couple Mikey and Ruth are, but tell themselves that at home things must be different. Nobody can be that happy, surely. But they can. Ruthie and Mike are happy. But in a month's time, or in a year's time, Ruth will get sick of the plate throwing, but Mikey will believe they still need to keep up the pretense. Mikey will stay out for a pint with the lads after football. Ruth will further build the pretense of domestic violence, and Mikey will complain truthfully about the lack of sex to Jeff from HR. Mikey and Ruth will start going out without each other again, and as the prophecy self-fulfills, one or both of them will have an affair in order to regain a sense of normality. They will split up, inevitably, and it will be due to their need to please you. And one other very short story, this is called Minutes. I'm taking the minutes at a conference. Normally, the speakers bore me. I notice this speaker's attempt to hide a northern accent, which comes off sounding sultry. In the hotel lobby, questions, on what day am I presenting a paper? I explain how this isn't what I want to be doing. Blue eyes, a business card that smells slightly of tobacco, but belongs to a non-smoker. Salty post-gym skin, no time to shower. We go out for dinner. I don't care what I order, because everything tastes of salt. In public, a kiss on the ear, at the top of my earlobe, it makes me shiver. Lying on a hotel bed, I flick through books I've never heard of, translated foreign titles, authors whose names I can't pronounce. Said casually in a bar, you change more in your 20s than you do in your teens. I think about this for a few days. I can pick up where I left off. I order the enrollment forms over the phone. A bottle of red to celebrate, a drink to the future. It's the logical next step. Inside, it feels too soon. I want to touch each item as it comes out of its packing crate. I do. Belongings lose their mystique. Sex becomes functional. We talk about bills over breakfast. We resolve to make this work. But sometimes, in bed, a kiss on the ear, at the top of my earlobe, it makes me shiver. Morning goodbyes and evening hellos pecked on artificial tasting skin. Sickly sweet moisturizer, a chemical tang with a bitterness to it. I'm listening, always, for an admittance of guilt. Then this can be over. Thank you.